Good morning, everybody. I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and I'm joined here by Mayor Shawyn Patterson-Howard from the city of Mount Vernon and a cast of thousands to launch, finally, the reconstruction of Memorial Field here in the city of Mount Vernon. There's going to be a lot of people to recognize and a lot of people to thank, so get ready because we're going to be here for a little bit of time. It's been 12 years in the making, and there are so many different people that are part of this. And in many ways, I feel like I had one of the smallest parts to play simply to make the decision at the county level to go forward with this long-awaited plan. And I want at the front end to recognize former county executive Andrew Spano and former Mayor Clinton Young, who were the original visionaries who planned for this. It falls to Shawyn and myself to deliver on that. Now, we're going to be celebrating football here, as is pretty obvious to my friends. I'm not much of a football player, although I'm a big fan. I did play some baseball, and the starting pitcher gets the win, but the closing pitchers, right, we get the save.
We get the save.
And that's what we're here for today. We get the save. Mayor Patterson-Howard is going to recognize all of the public elected officials and former elected officials from the city of Mount Vernon. I want to introduce to you some of the key people from the county government. I'll have some comments to make after a little bit. We're going to hear from Marty Lyons with LandTek, and we're also going to have a chance to hear from some of the other prominent people that had a role to play in this. From Westchester County government, the people that were critical in making these decisions include the Deputy County Executive, Ken Jenkins. Ken? They're back there somewhere, so rather than me turn and look. The Westchester County Board of Legislators is a partner in this government. Now, you don't hear presidents always say that Congress is their partner. You don't always hear governors say that state legislatures are their partners. But this county executive believes that this county Board of Legislators, even when we disagree, that we are partners for progress. Ben Boykin, the chairman of that board, is with us here today. Ben? And I am going to have to turn to look. Majority Leader Mary Jane Shimsky is with us. County legislator of the past, current judge. More is going to be heard about him in a few minutes. Lyndon Williams. Also representing a portion of Mount Vernon, David Tubiolo. We have with us County Legislator Ruth Walters. County Legislator Terry Clements. County Legislator Vedat Gashi. Ben, have I missed anybody in the board that's here?
I think we've got everybody.
Do I got everybody? Okay. Shawyn is going to do the Mount Vernon officials. I do want to introduce, and you'll hear from him later, a longtime personal friend. I had the pleasure of serving with him in the New York State Assembly. He is the dean of our Assembly delegation, and he was the driving force around getting state money into this project, Assemblyman Gary Pretlow. And we have many people from the county administrative governments here. We have with us the commissioner of the Department of Public Works Transportation, Hugh Grecian, is with us here. Hugh, it's hard to miss him. We have Commissioner of Parks, Recreation, and Conservation, Kathy O'Connor, is with us here. And her first deputy is with us, Peter Tartaglia. And while I get off the mic, I'm going to ask, some of my key people, just remind me of some of the other key folks that I have who are commissioner level who are here with us. And then from our county executive team, Mount Vernon resident Crystal Collins is here. The wonderful Diane Atkins is here. Don't worry, Diane, no COVID is here today. No COVID come through the gates today. We're good, we're good. And Tracy Thompson Smith is with us. Tracy? And we have Robin Lark Hansen with us here today. Victor Mallison is here today. We have from the County Board of Legislators, I saw Joy Haber is here. There's Joy. And Jason Chavokas from the Westchester County Board of Legislators staff. Who else is there? Josie Ferrara is here, works with Chairman Boykin. And is Vic here too? Yeah, Victor. Where's Vic? There we go. There's the handsome man right there. Works with former legislator Lyndon Williams. And if there are some people I miss when I get off mic, we'll get them. We have been through a lot of different county executives and a lot of different mayors to get to this day. But I'm very fortunate that my partner in this particular effort, who's with us here today, is also a Mount Vernon native. I was class of 1970. She was class of 1986. So she's a lot younger than me, even though she talks about how old she is. She's a lot younger than me, and she is the mayor of this city, Shawyn Patterson-Howard. Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, County Executive Latimer. We are just really excited to be here today, and I want to take a moment to recognize some of our officials. As he said, we have our Assemblyman Pretlow here. Our Council President Lisa Copeland is here. She's over there. We have our Councilwoman Duarte, our Councilwoman Farquharson, our Councilman Thompson. I believe our Councilman Griffith is on the way. We have many of our commissioners here. We have my Chief of Staff, Morton. We have our Commissioner of Recreation, Sylvia Gadsden, our Commissioner of DPW and Deputy Commissioner of DPW, Mark Ettera and Damani Bush. We have our former Councilman, Yana Edwards. We have our former Councilman, James Jubilee. We have our former Mayor, Acting Mayor Andre Wallace. We have our City Clerk, William Holmes, our Legislative Aide from the City Clerk, Elias Gutzeit. We had our Fire Commissioner here, Deborah Norman, and our Deputy Fire Commissioner, Teddy Beal. I'm missing people. We have Malcolm Clark. He is the Special Assistant to the Mayor. We have Tyree Woodson Samuels. He's with Congressman Elliot Engel. Former DPW Commissioner Horton. We have our Communications Specialist Director, Danny Terry. I'm looking for others. We have other commissioners in the back, but I can't see them, so I can't recognize them. But to all of our commissioners and Mount Vernon staff, thank you. We have We Run Mount Vernon Track Club and Walking Club here. We have Hall's Track Club here. We have the Mount Vernon High School basketball coach here. We have Bob Semino. We have our Mount Vernon High School football coach, our new coach here. Wave your hand. Just newly minted, Mark. We have a lot of our community representatives here, so we're just glad for everyone who is here today. Oh, we have Rick. He's our recreational specialist from the city of Mount Vernon. He'll be working heavy on this project. So we thank everyone who is here today. We're excited to be here. This is a new day, and as the county executive said, that this is the final take. If I had a clapboard, I'd go, final take, okay?
Next, I'd like to introduce the head of the team that's going to do the actual work here. And this project has had many stops and starts. There have been debatable public issues about what should happen here. We had a major environmental cleanup that had to be conducted and approved by the state of New York. Not an easy thing to do. But the design of what's going to happen here came out of public dialogue that goes back to the origination of this. And again, let me just mention that the people to recognize include not only past County Executive Andrew Spano, past County Executive Andrew O'Rourke, also Rob Astorino, who served as County Executive, the mayors of those days, Mayor Ernie Davis, as well as Mayor Wallace, Mayor Richard Thomas, and of course my good friend Mayor Clinton Young, all of whom were part of the process that led us here today. I do want to recognize Andrew Ferris, my Chief of Staff, who's with us here today. Our Director of Communications, Catherine Chaffee, is here with our whole communications team. And Judge Jerry Law is with us here today. Judge, we're happy to have you with us here. But the people who are going to actually do the work here are the ones that are going to sweat under this sun for the balance of the summer and into the fall and into next year to make sure that this place looks as miraculous as it is going to look when it's completed. And the successful bidder on this project is a company called LandTek. And the vice president, who I'm going to introduce, is going to talk a little bit about this. He's going to introduce a member of his team as well to talk more about the project, is the one that's tasked with putting the field here, putting the stands, all of the different elements that are going to go into this. His name is Marty Lyons, and he is a terrific businessman. This organization has done work all throughout the tri-state area. But since we're on what was and will be again a football field, I have to mention that just as much as I'll talk in a little bit when I make my final comments about what it was like for me as a young man here as a kid, also as a kid growing up, I'm a fan of the New York Jets. And, you know, when you're a Jet fan, a Met fan, a Knicks fan, Rangers got eliminated last night, Ranger fan, you go through a lot of suffering. Marty Lyons was one of the Jets that gave me happy days back in the day. They made the playoffs when Marty was on that team. But life doesn't end at football. It goes on to a very successful career in this job, and I'm honored to be with him, and I'm honored that he and his team will be the ones that will execute this. So without further ado, Vice President of LandTek, Marty Lyons.
Thank you, George. It's a pleasure for me to represent the group of LandTek, especially the two owners. We have Mike Ryan and his brother Ed Ryan, and we are fully committed to restore Memorial Field to what it used to be. If you look back in 1979, you had an NFL player by the name of Mean Joe Green walk through a tunnel and make a Coke commercial where a young man walked in and said, you know, Mr. Green, you can have my Coke. So we're going to try to rebuild it, try to make it so that everybody here in Mount Vernon, everybody here in Westchester can enjoy this facility. We're going to restore it. Restoring history is what makes history move forward. So we're going to start off by saying, you know, Mr. Latimer, you can have my Coke. Come on up here.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, brother.
Now, George, you throw me your jersey and say, hey, kid, let's get this thing started. But I have some members of the LandTek family here. I'll just briefly introduce you to them. You know, we have John Nitty, who played not just for the Jets, not just for the Giants, but also for the New Jersey Generals. And he's going to be the Director of Sales and Marketing. He's celebrating 3 years with us. We have Andy Kalish. He's going to be the Project Manager. He's here today. We got Brad. He's going to be our social media. So we're committed to this job. And last is a guy that's been with us 4 years. You may not know his name, but you'll recognize his voice. He spent 29 years at MSG. He brought high school football into your living room. He brought high school basketball into your living room every weekend. Please welcome Mike Quick from MSG. And now really to break down the job, we're very fortunate that LandTek has one of the top, if not the top, construction guy in the Northeast. Our COO, John Solinsky, will break down the job a little bit. But again, on behalf of Mike Ryan, Ed Ryan, the entire LandTek family, we look forward to working with the county and everybody here in Mount Vernon. And we will restore this Memorial Field into what it used to be. John?
On behalf of the LandTek Group, as Marty has said, we are privileged to be part of this project. We construct athletic facilities up and down the coast from Florida to Connecticut. We have a dedicated crew with over 400 employees, so we're very excited to be part of this project. As you can see, we're looking out on a grass field behind us, which will be an artificial turf field surrounded by a running track and a state-of-the-art bleacher system off to your left. We will have a restroom and concession building all the way in the top corner, and we will also have a skate park on a corner by the traffic light. So we have a lot of moving pieces here. We're dedicated to the project, and we're excited to move forward. The project was designed by Woodward & Curran, Anthony Catalano. We've done a lot of projects in this area with Anthony and his group, so we should have a great, seamless working environment, and again, we're excited to be part of it. Thank you very much. George?
Got a few more people that I'd like to share some thoughts with you before we do the actual groundbreaking. Just this last few days, a longtime member of the Westchester County Board of Legislators, a former city councilman here in Mount Vernon, has been elevated to the bench. And any minute, you know, a cloak descends over you. Judge Jerry Law will tell you he was former mayor of the city of Yonkers, and Yonkers is a little rough and tumble city, a little bit. And but when you have the judicial cloak on you, everything is forgotten, and now you're in a different place. And so now Judge Lyndon Williams will not be dealing with the rough and tumble of the city council or the county legislature anymore. But we're having a big debate in our society over statues. What kind of people should be memorized in a statue? What did they accomplish that was so worthy that we would put an image of them for all to see generations to come? Most of us in public office don't get a statue. Most of us don't deserve a statue. But There are accomplishments that a person has that should be respected, whether the statue comes or not. When you walk in downtown White Plains, right opposite our county office building, you will see a plaza and a statue that's dedicated to Christopher Ridley. Christopher Ridley was a man of this community, a young man who went into police service and in a terrible situation lost his life trying to help somebody out on the streets of White Plains. And Lyndon Williams made a commitment that there would be something permanent to recognize Christopher Ridley at that site, not to recognize where he died, but to recognize the life that he lived. This field, when it's opened, will be a monument to Lyndon Williams as well, because through some many dark days, many days of disagreement, inability to determine what would be here, unwillingness or inability to figure out how to finance it, a host of different policy issues long before the designers started the design and long before the construction people do the construction work and long before the actual financing was put into place. When Lyndon Williams believed that this would be improved, and he believed in it because he believes in the people of Mount Vernon, the very people now that he will sit on that bench and try to administer justice fairly and honestly. If there's a statue to Lyndon Williams, it's Christopher Ridley's statue. It's this ballpark. Lyndon Williams.
Thank you, County Executive. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Mayor, and all of my colleagues on the Board of Legislators and everyone who are here to celebrate this groundbreaking. I can tell you that it has been a long and arduous road, but it's like Marty Lyons said, I think that when a team works together, you accomplish things. When individuals work, it becomes a little bit more difficult. And my commitment has been from the beginning to the residents of Mount Vernon and the constituents who I represent, who really for years wanted this field restored. I've been through, when I got on the Board of Legislators, succeeding Legislator Clinton Young. And I remember when he handed this off to me, it wasn't in legislative form yet, but we figured that it's got to be in legislative form. We worked through all of that. And we have been through at least 4 county executives, as I can count. I was not there with County Executive O'Rourke, but I did come in at the end of County Executive Spano's administration. And I want to really say this because it's important to understand that elected office is important, but when you have a person who is committed, it is like the best way you can get things done. And I remember when County Executive Latimer came into office, and in January, I believe, I wrote him a letter, and I said, I need the county to take over the management of the revitalization of Memorial Field. And he said yes, he would. And he has never wavered 1 minute of the day, not one. And it's because of that unwavering position and that unwavering dedication that we can be here today in a way that we are having a groundbreaking with a contractor in place and with the funds to complete the job. I want to tell you that I've had the experience of 5 mayors working through this. And I'm not saying, and it's great because basically you have different personalities and you work with everyone, and that's what I believe in. I work with everyone, but we never got to the finish line. But everyone contributed. The problem is that it's not everyone contributed. But when I got to finally Mayor Shawyn Patterson-Howard, and I asked her, would you run this ball over into the end zone? Not only did she run into the end zone, she spiked it also. Because you know what? She was a partner. She said, it's not about me. I will work closely with the county, and we will deliver this. And because of that, we are having a groundbreaking today. I want to mention also the City Council, on which I sit on. I have sat on the City Council prior to getting to the Board of Legislators. And we were debating back then about Memorial Field. And nothing can happen without having both parts of government working together. And I could tell you, I've met with council members, and I've actually had discussions with them. And we've had our disagreements, but we really come to a point where we were able to say, yes, at the end of the day, this is what we ought to be doing. And all of the council members actually supported this 100% and put their support behind the mayor to get it done as a local team for the city of Mount Vernon. And now I want to go to my colleagues on the Board of Legislators. Now, during the process of this, the entire Board of Legislators have turned over. I am the last legislator since the initial legislation in 2009 to serve on the board, the last one. But my colleagues, even though there were new legislators came on, and many of them here, they understood it. It was more than the Mount Vernon project. It was each of them took it as their project and their responsibility to do this for this field. And I can tell you that I am so pleased to have served with all of the legislators, especially, as I said, you were at the end zone and you need someone to get the ball over the line. My legislative colleagues got it over the line, got the approval expeditiously, not at hold up, not trying to stop the project, but working diligently and timely to support this project. So I want to thank my colleagues who are here, and I really, really, really appreciate serving with them and really appreciate their commitment to this, along with the county executive and all of his team, because he had a great team. But I want to say, as I get ready to leave, I get to sit on the bench in the city of Mount Vernon and serve my community in another way. I am looking forward to the day. I don't know I'm going to be allowed to come for the ribbon cutting, but I hope I would. But I look forward to the day that we're going to be cutting the ribbon on this project. Because as the groundbreaking is more symbolic than a field. It's symbolic about our city. So will be the ribbon cutting, symbolic of our city's accomplishment and moving forward. Thank you and God bless.
I told you there was going to be a few speakers, right? I warned you. So, Ben Boykin is the chair of the County Board of Legislators. It's a position I had the pleasure of serving in 20 years ago. It's a position that Ken Jenkins had the pleasure of serving in 10 years ago. People don't necessarily understand how hard it is to show leadership in a legislative capacity, where while you have responsibility, you don't necessarily have all the authority. You have to get a consensus of 17 people to do something in order for something to happen. And now in his second term as chairman of the board, it has been Ben Boykin who has been responsible with other leadership team members, but as the leadership of that team as this project came to final fruition. Chairman Boykin.
Yes. Thank you, County Executive Latimer, Mayor Howard, Assemblyman Pretlow, my colleague, Legislator Williams, and all my legislators, colleagues that are here today. Mayor Jane Shempsey joined us later, and I think the County Executive recognized her earlier. We do work in partnership with the County Executive. As a legislative branch, we're the ones who pass the legislation. For me, this is personal, and I'll tell you why in a few moments. But I remember when County Executive Latimer came in office and Legislator Lyndon Williams sent that letter. One of the first meetings I attended was with the prior administration, with Legislator Lyndon Williams, Assemblyman Pretlow. Remember that meeting that we had talking about Memorial Field and moving forward to get this done, to rebuild and bring this field back to its glory. You know, this was a beautiful place. And I said it was personal to me because I was here with my daughter, as many of you remember, Nicole Boykin, running track on this field. We would come down with other teams from White Plains, throughout Westchester, and throughout this region to watch track meets. But other events were taking place here also. And now look what we have here. And it is time to bring this back to its former glory for the people of Westchester County, but more importantly, for the residents of Mount Vernon. I know Legislator Lyndon Williams came to me and said, Ben, this is my signature project. We need to get this done. And I said to him, we will make it happen. And here we are today at the groundbreaking ceremony, making sure that it's happened. Sometimes good things come to those who wait. We had to wait a while, Deputy County Executive, but we got there. And we're here today, and we'll be here later on in not the too distant future to cut the ribbon. And Judge, we hope you can come with us to cut the ribbon, because we're going to need you to be with us as we do that. But this memorial field is so special to Mount Vernon, to Westchester County, and to this region, and we can't wait to bring it back to its former glory. The clubhouse, the concession stands, the restrooms, the stands, so that people can come again to recreate and enjoy this special place. So I'm pleased to be here today for this groundbreaking. Thank you very much.
This would not have been possible without the work of the city and the county, but it also would not have been possible without the state of New York. And it took work in both the Senate and in the Assembly to make it happen. We owe a debt of gratitude to the Speaker of the Assembly, Carl Hastie, the Senate Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, our friend and neighbor. We don't believe we're going to be joined today by either Senator Jamal Bailey or Senator Alessandra Biaggi, but we have the Dean of the Assembly delegation with us here today. I served with him as a fellow Assemblyman, but even more important than that, back in the late 70s, before we ever got into public office, we were friends. We'd pal around. We'd go out and do stuff, which you can't talk about anymore because we were young and single. But he's been a... You may not have to run for re-election again, but some of us may. In all seriousness, Gary Pretlow has been a rock for this city for a long, long time. I spent 5.5 years after I lived here, 10 years after high school graduation. I got transferred by the company I worked for out of the area. I came back in the mid-'80s, and my friends, Gary and Ruth Hassel-Thompson, were on the city council of Mount Vernon. And I remember coming down to see them and say, this is great. You guys got a great opportunity. And they talked about the Mount Vernon that they could foresee happening now that they were in office. And they picked up the standard from Jim Jubilee, who was the councilman when I left. And now they did a great job. And then both of them went on to the state legislature. And when the moment was there and we needed financial help and we needed a little bit of assistance, Gary Pretlow was there. Assemblyman Gary Pretlow.
Thank you, Mr. County Executive. Now, when they had first asked me to speak, I was thinking, what can I say to add to what everyone else has said? So I was going to talk about this groundbreaking being a conspiracy perpetrated by Mayors Young, Mayors Davis, Mayor Thomas, Mayor Howard, and who did I leave out? There's a fifth one. Mayor Wallace, to get us, quote unquote, dignitaries to do a groundbreaking for the fifth time and speed up the digging of the foundation. So when Lyons and Company did the bid, they could bid a little bit less because we've already started digging the foundation. But I won't talk about that. Okay, I won't mention that because it's true. But what I will say is I'm proud to be a Mount Vernonite. I think I'm finally accepted. I didn't go to the high school, and that seems to be the crux. If you went to the high school, I went to aviation high school where I learned to fix airplanes. But that's another story for another time. Whitey Ford went to my high school. He never, well, anyway. I'm glad that the county executive mentioned it, that through the office of the New York State Assembly and the Speaker and my colleague in the Senate, Jamal Bailey, we were able to secure a sufficient amount of money for this project. When the money was first secured, it went a lot farther than it's going to do now. but thanks to the current county board and the current county executive, they've upped the ante. This project has almost doubled from the time of its inception. But now it's going to come to fruition, and I'm just glad to be part of it. I remember walking the track on every morning at 7:30. I'd be on the track, walking around, doing my exercise. And then when it was closed, it was a sad day. But now it's being reopened, and very shortly, Judge, you will be at the ribbon cutting. Well, we'll pass special legislation because it's a non-political event, so you can come. Yeah, we can do things like that. We know we have the king and the anyway. So anyway, I just want to thank everybody for coming, and the press recognizes this is the last one. This is the last groundbreaking. We are going to ribbon cutting mode now. Thank you.
I've had the pleasure of being in the office of the mayor of Mount Vernon on 3 separate occasions. And it's a beautiful room. And I was there for 3 separate mayors. The middle of the 3 visits was a very perfunctory visit. The most recent visit was my most pleasant visit when I came to see Mayor Patterson-Howard. My first visit, I was being chewed out by the mayor. I was 23 years old at the time. I had done something that wasn't appropriate when I worked in the planning department and housing, and the mayor ripped me a new one. So I was very happy to come back in to see Mayor Patterson-Howard for a visit that was much more pleasant, where we talked about the things that we were going to do together with Mount Vernon to help Mount Vernon IDA finance some projects and stabilize it while you're trying to put the IDA back together again, to talk about Wilson Woods and the future of that parcel, what we can do as a county on county land in Mount Vernon to be helpful to the people of this city. We talked a little bit about a number of other different things that were important, but it was a pleasure to be with her then. It's a pleasure to be with her now. Keep in mind, when this project is done, this field will be managed by the city of Mount Vernon. It will be open to residents of the county, but the city of Mount Vernon, I presume her recreation department, will be the entity that will book events here. So you can use this field for all the other purposes, but it maintains as a Mount Vernon asset. And so I'm very happy to say to the mayor, I'm happy to know that this is going to be a field that will be well managed and well used by the people of the city that I care about deeply and that you love immensely. Mayor Shawyn Patterson-Howard.
Thank you again, County Executive Latimer. So I almost feel like former Mayor Ernie Davis. What did he always say? So we arrive at this occasion today. We arrive at this occasion today, and as it's been said, and we're not being petty, but this is part of what has been a start and stop. This is our 5th time here, but it is our last time here. And so we said it's the final take. And it's important to say that because Memorial Field has been the heart and soul of Mount Vernon for a very long time. And when your heart gets broken over and over again, it's hard to trust and it's hard to believe again. And it's hard to believe that we can ever move forward together. But that's what we're doing again. Today we are believing again. We are moving forward together. And partnership symbolizes progress. And we're really excited about it. I'm a Mount Vernonite, and I'm also a Mount Vernon Knight. They're different. And so, County Executive Latimer.
Thank you.
Deputy County Executive.
Thank you.
You want which one? You want yellow or which one? It don't matter.
More important decision making.
So yes, so we have Mount Vernon Knights, and now we have honorary Mount Vernon Knights. And Legislator Tubiolo, I will give you yours as well. I promise you, I think I have another one in the car. But we're just grateful to be here. This is very personal for me. I live up the block, literally, straight up Sanford Boulevard. I ran track here. I broke records here from 1974 to about 1981, and then I blew out my knees. So I could only party and dance here with our council president, Lisa Copeland. I marched here in high school as a Mount Vernon marching knight. We came to concerts here. We walked here. I'm praying that my 93-year-old Aunt Dolores, who walked here in the mornings with our now Judge Lyndon Williams, will be around when we cut this ribbon and walk a victory lap around this track because this is where she came every morning at about 4 a.m. to walk. So this is not just recreation. Recreation, if you put a dash in between the E and the C, it's recreation through recreation. It's more than just fun and games, it's also about health. And so we believe that the health of Mount Vernonites will be revitalized here because they can come and walk, run, jog, enjoy activities. We look forward to hearing the screams, the laughter, the cries of our Razorbacks and of our Mount Vernon Jets and of our Mount Vernon High School team. All of our teams that are here in Mount Vernon. We look forward to the others that will come and utilize our field. But we're just looking forward to the days where we can have school Olympics, citywide summer Olympics, concert series and family and music and arts festivals, because this is what Mount Vernon is about. This is the crossroads of our community. It is one of the locations that helps to knit, tie, and bind us together. It's about community cohesion, and this is a part of our community cohesion. So we thank our county executive for your diligence, your executive team, our County Board of Legislators, our city council members, current and past, our mayors, current, well, me, and past. So like current and past, I guess that would be me. And just everyone who is working with us on this project. And Mount Vernon, we turn this field back over to you once the ribbon cutting is done. You may not see the cranes and the shovels go in today, but they will be up in the next week or so, and you know that will symbolize the project. Stand on the top of the Target parking lot from time to time and just look at the progress being made. 8-lane track, football field, lacrosse field, soccer field, 3 tennis courts, a skate park, 3,900 seats, concession stands, locker rooms, bathrooms that work. We're just excited. So Mount Vernon, I ask that you do this with me if you remember it, because we can't wait to hear these chants. M-O-U-N-T-V-E-R-N-O-N, Mount Vernon, Mount Vernon. M-O-U-N-T-V-E-R-N-O-N, Mount Vernon, Mount Vernon. Thank you, everyone.
Last speech before we get to business here. It's almost sunset now that we've been out here all day. I want to speak just to a second to the people who may be watching this through the cameras, through the media, that don't live in Mount Vernon. Today is a story about Mount Vernon, but it's also a story about all of Westchester County. Because as sure as we are here today from Mount Vernon, Terry Clemens, we're going to be there in downtown New Rochelle to open that New Rochelle Family Court. That will be a modern facility that those people from Mount Vernon and New Rochelle and Pelham that use it will be able to enjoy. Vidat Gashi, the North County Trailway that we've invested money in, that we fixed at Birdsall Road, we intend to make sure that for the people of Yorktown that use it, that they will see the value of county government. And Ruth Walter, you're going to see the value in Scout Field yet to come, because we're serious about making improvements there. Just as we did David and Mary Jane in opening those pools at Sprain Ridge that were closed for 10 years over that period of time. We are serious about every part of this county. We are serious about doing things that were undone for a long time, not because we're great people, but because we believe in backing up the things we say with actual action. Now, right now, you're looking at a dirt field that is going to become a field. But if you want to see our commitment, I want you to go over to Jackson Avenue, where the Sprain Ridge pool were. 2 pools. One of them had a tree growing out of the middle of it when we started this effort. And Mary Jane and Ruth's predecessor, Gordon Burroughs, argued for this for the longest while. But we did it. You go there now today. Go there today. And you'll watch kids splashing around and swimming because we honored our commitments. And while you're on the way north, look at the Ashford Avenue Bridge. Started under my predecessor, come to completion under our administration, a critical line that we actually did. Go up to North Castle, where there was a decrepit building collapsing called the Miller House, where George Washington stayed there 1 or 2 nights, we think, as part of the Battle of White Plains. That building had a blue top over its head for 10 years. Now, it's fixed. Thank you again to the state for helping that happen, because we're not kidding around. We're serious about this. That's why LandTek is here. LandTek doesn't have the bandwidth to waste time on a project that's not properly financed, not properly designed, and there'll be bumps along the way. No construction project is ever perfect. They start digging and they'll find something. I don't know what, turtle bones or something. And there'll be another meeting with Catalano and Tartaglia, and we'll go through the whole thing. But the bottom line is we are serious, and when the mayor says this is the last time we're going to do this, they're serious about this for a reason, because we are dead serious about making this work and every other project we've talked about. Let me make the closing comment before we go to this. So we all, those of us of a certain age and a certain experience, have a relationship to this field. I was here to watch a Richie Havens concert in 1969. I would love to say, I guess we're going to throw footballs in a second. Marty and John are going to laugh their butts off when they see, you know, what it looks like when a grown man tries to mess with a football he doesn't know anything about. Being a good fan doesn't mean you can play the sport. Unfortunately, we critique how you play the sport. But the bottom line is that I was in the municipal band here, the high school band, and I was proud of it. Baritone horn player, marched on this field. And I remember when I left my parents' house on South 14th Avenue. My mom was from Harrison. My dad was from Brooklyn. They made Mount Vernon their home, and that's where I grew up. I was the only white kid in an African-American neighborhood, and when white flight came, Stan and Loretta stayed. They believed in the south side of Mount Vernon. They didn't give up on the south side of Mount Vernon. And for those who are from the south side of Mount Vernon today, much less all those years ago, you know that the greatest problem is not guns, it's not drugs, it's hope. It's the hope that every child, almost all of them African American, but some of them Latinx, some of them white, that they don't have hope that their life could be better. And when the siren song for drugs comes along, let's steal a car, joyride. I heard some guys tell me let's do that. When the siren comes along, let's do some drugs because our lives aren't going to be any better than what it is now. Those folks have to have hope. You have to have belief that something better is ahead for you, the person, and for the community that you live in. This is a field, and it will recreate, as the mayor said. But it is a sign that hope can be realized, and it takes forever. Martin Luther King is known for saying that the arc, I'm going to misquote it, but the arc of justice bends slowly, but it bends toward justice. And it takes time, but with persistence and faith, even a dirt dump can become a valuable piece of recreation, and it will be a symbol for Mount Vernon's renaissance. It will be a symbol for where this community is going to go in the years to come, long after I'm not around. But I will tell you this much. When I leave here today, I'm going to drive down Sanford Boulevard. I'm going to be late to my next meeting, Catherine, just so you know. I'm going to drive down Sanford Boulevard. I'm going to go down to 13th Avenue, which goes this way, north. And, well, actually, I'm going to have to go to Mundy Lane, 11th Avenue, go all the way up to 3rd Street, turn on 3rd Street, go up 13th. I want to show you I know my hood. And for that, when I get up to Yorktown, I'll show you how I use Hommocks Mill Road to cut past downtown Yorktown. I'm not kidding in this job. I'm serious about this job. I'm going to go past my parents' house. They've been out of there since the 90s. But I'm going to let them know that their son, who they gave this hometown to by deciding to live here, first in an apartment and then in a little house at the foot of Vista Place, that their son appreciated the sacrifice that they made for me. My dad was a maintenance man. And by the sweat of his brow did I get to be a commuter to Fordham University. My mom worked in factories, Ward Leonard on South Street and some other factories up McQuestion Parkway. And so that my sister and I could go to college, so someday I could stand here, county executive. County executive to do what has to be done for Mount Vernon, to do what has to be done for New Rochelle, to do what has to be done for Yorktown and for Eastchester and for Hastings, because that is what democracy is about. You elect people from amongst yourselves, not to make them kings so they could walk around. I drove here myself. No cops driving me here. I'm not wearing a $2,000 suit. You can see these things are off the rack. Shoes are beat up. These famous footwear shoes only last so long. But to do, always promoting business, but to do what has to be done. To do it, to be humble about it, to make sure that the world knows that there's 1,000 people that made this happen, not me. 1,000 people. And by God, it's going to be done. All right. Catherine, take it. You could have deflated this a little so I could.
Madam Mayor?
No, you don't want to throw that. It has your name on it, too.
That's the first thing I want to smudge, Marty.
Shovel or ball. Some folks,
Grab a
Gary.
shovel, guys.
That's for you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Here, you got their toss. Yeah, I say Marty's got to get one.
Crystal, head fake left at the Chevrolet. I'll catch you cutting across the middle. That's how we played touch in the parking lot.
Shovels? Shovel?
Uh-oh. Try not to hit George.
Go ahead. You're small. You gotta get it right up in there. Go ahead.
I can go to the back. You can. How are you today? Shorty. He wants to throw it, but throw it short.
Throw it towards the camera? Yep.
Try not to hit the camera.
Yep. Fumble! Wow.
Ada, hold it up like this. So funny.